Hello guys, good morning. So today is October 20, 2021. So alam ko guys na marami sa inyo ay curious about sa flyers or leaflets na aking pinabigay sa inyo kung sino man kayo nakatanggap about sa topic na treatment for cancer, no? So I am sure na mga medical communities nito ay hindi favor sa information na ibibigay ko sa inyo kasi ang gusto nilang approach is yung kanilang approach, which is yung chemotherapy at saka radiotherapy, guys, no? So hindi ako makipag-argue regarding sa kanila, guys, no? Kung gusto nila ng chemotherapy at saka radiotherapy. In the end, ang patients ang may may karapatan sa kanilang sarili kung anong gusto nilang gawain sa kanilang katawan, no? So, lumalapit tayo sa doctors para magpa-check up, and then so sabihin nila ito, nasa patients kung gagawin nila ito o hindi. So that is so that is how it works. So before tayo mag-start, guys, inform ko lang sa inyo na medyo mahaba itong video na to, dahil mag-attach din ako ng mga video clips regarding sa author ng information na to, no? Isang doktor at saka yung kanyang mga testimonies ng kanyang mga patients para makita ninyo. So, ginawa natin itong video na ito, guys. Ginawa ko itong video na ito kasi alam kong pinagdadaanan ng mga watchers, ng mga cancer patients, at saka yung mga patients mismo, at yung family ng merong cancer patient, no? Mahirap kasi ang pinagdadaanan ng isang tao na may cancer, guys, no? Mismo. So, ang isa pang nito, guys, is what about yung mga taong walang kaya sa pagpapagamot ng cancer, no? Okay lang doon sa mga mayayaman, mga milyonaryo kasi can afford man sila. What about sa mga hindi may kaya? So, swerte na lang po sa mga citizens, sa mga mamamayan, kung saan yung kanilang city ay meron silang hospital na nag-provide ng murang gamot, murang gamutan, murang therapy para sa cancer, no? So, swerte kayo. Kasi it's more or less mababa lang, zero yung babayaran ninyo, no? Or maliit lang yung babayaran ninyo. Meron pang mga gamot dyan, guys, aside sa therapy, no? Ang gamot dyan, radiotherapy, yung gamot, nandyan pa. So, libo-libo ang cost ng gamot na yun, guys, no? Napakamahal. So, what about sa mga mahihirap na can't afford niyan, no? So, kailangan natin ng mga choices. So, katulad natin, guys, gusto natin magaling yung ating pasyente, no? Ginagawa natin lahat para sa kanila. So far, sa aking experience, nag-shake na ako, nag-juice na ako ng carrot juice, ng broccoli, ng cauliflower, ng beetroot, ng mga berries, na mga grapes. So, mga foods rich in vitamin C, no? Mga foods rich in vitamin C, mga fruits and vegetables. For the sake na lumakas ang kanilang katawan, kasi ang gusto natin ma-achieve is maging alkaline yung kanilang body. So, hindi maging acidic. Kasi kung acidic siya, ang tendency guys is doon mag-strive, doon mabuhay yung mga bacteria, viruses, yung mga cancer cells, dyan siya mag-strive. So, mismo sa cancer cells, nag-create siya ng kanyang environment kung saan acidic. No? So, kailangan nating i-counteract yung mga pinainom ko din yung aking pasyente ng alkaline water, no? So, just for the sake talaga na meron akong magawa, no? Yun naman talaga ang sa atin guys eh. Although siguro minimal or something ang ano daw ginasabi nila diyan, pero kung kahit gaano kaliit na niyan, no? Ginagawa natin, ginagahanap tayo ng paraan para mapagaling ang ating mga pasyente. Yun yung point doon guys. Mapagaling natin ang ating pasyente. So, nag-research na ako. Kadami-dami ko nang gina-research. Apricot seed, no? Cassava, kung saan nandoon yung merong cyanide portion, yung itong apricot seed at saka cassava na ano no, na ugat, kung saan yun ang ginaluto natin. So, yung portion ng cyanide na yan, although in large quantities talagang makasama sa katawan, makasira sa katawan kasi poisonous siya, pero in small quantities, yun yung panlaban din sa cancer. So, ang dami ko nang na-research guys noon. Last April pa kami nag-start. So, yun pa yung mga na-research ko. Pero, aside sa mga na-research ko yun guys, meron din kaming ginatake na herbal para lang mapa-alkaline yung katawan nga. Pero hindi kami nag-stop sa aming chemotherapy at saka radiotherapy kasi naka-start naman kami guys, no? So, nandito kami sa isang hospital kung saan affordable siya kasi public hospital siya. Nag-offer siya sa aming city ng affordable na cancer therapy, no, na mura, and then tuwing aming discharge 00, halos 00 yung 00 what rin siya, no? So, swerte na lang dito sa aming city, merong ganon. Pero, again guys, hindi kami nag-stop sa aming chemotherapy at saka radiotherapy, no? Kahit na nag-juicing na kami, nag-apply na kami ng apricot seed, cassava, herbal, ano pa dyan. So, hindi kami nag-stop. Kasi, that is medical perspective guys, no? Gina-follow din namin yan siya. Naghahanap lang tayo ng ibang way pa kasi wala namang bawal daw kainin, no? So, sa pag-apply ng apricot seed at saka cassava, kailangan mag-research lang muna kayo dyan kung paano nyo gawin yan, no? Pero, itong isang topic na gusto kong ibigay sa inyo guys, kasi ngayon ko lang din nalaman ngayong October. Actually, matagal ko na itong naririnig pero nakalimutan ko lang. And then, pag-research ko ulit sa YouTube at saka sa Google, ayun, bumalik sa akin, no? And then, gi-research ko pa siya ulit. And then, hanggang dating ako sa isang video kung saan yung isang doktor nga ang pinag-aralan itong bagay na to, and then i-apply niya sa mga patients niya, and then nag-workout naman, no? Pero itong approach na ginawa ng doktor na ito, guys, is hindi nga siya giaprubahan ng medical community. It's because hindi siya totally na pinag-aralan daw, okay? So, ang ginawa ng doktor na ito, guys, is gipasa nga niya itong proposal na ito, itong medication na ito sa board ng medical something ng kanilang community para aprubahan itong itong medication na to para ito talaga ang maging way ng medication ng cancer. Pero tapon itong proposal na to kasi sinabi nila wala nga daw pag-aaral. So, bakit mo itatapon agad na pwede mo nga pag-aralan, di ba? Yun nga ang purpose doon ng sabi ng doktor, pag-aralan natin ito. Itong proposal ko, pag-aralan natin to, and then pag sa tingin nyo na working, then ito ang ating iano. Pero at the first pa lang, pagpasa pa lang na application, gidump na, hindi na pinag-aralan. So bakit, no? And then yung doktor na yon hindi siya parang gibar siya sa medical community something. So panoorin niyo na lang yung video later on. So ang point dyan, guys, is maraming mga medicine dito na katulad niyan na working pero hindi nila ginabigyan ng authorities because walang pera na kikitain dito, guys, no? Unlike sa chemotherapy at saka radiotherapy, million ang kailangan na gastusin mo para mabuhay ka, para gumaling ka. Pero itong therapy na ginaano ng doktor, hindi ka aabot ng million, guys. Affordable lang siya, no? Kaya lang siyang gawain. So, yun ang doon. Ayaw nila kasi walang pera eh. And then, kalaban nila ang pharmaceutical industries na kung saan yung pharmaceutical industries gumagawa sila ng gamot para dito. So, kung paano na ang kanilang ginawa na gamot, so, wala na silang kitain doon kung ito lang i-apply na gamutan, no? So, kaya ayaw nila. Ang isang example pa niyan, guys, is, di ba, yung pag magkaroon kayo ng dengue, ang ginagawa nyo is, gumamit kayo ng tawa-tawa, merong gumagamit ng tawa-tawa, gumagamit ng papaya, gumagamit ng durian, ano pa dyan, gumaling yung pasyente. No? Pero hindi naman yun ang talagang ginapa-implement ng medical community na this is not the cure for dengue, pero gumagawa tayo ng paraan para mapagaling yung ating pasyente, lalo na kapag bumababa yung platelet. Anong gawain natin? Wala na. Pag magbaba ang platelet, mag-bleeding na, wala na. Doon na bleeding, mamatay na ang pasyente. So, yun ang ating doon, guys, no? Yun ang ating ginatingnan mga bagay ba na meron mga certain medications na nakakagaling pero hindi na ginapa-implement, no? Kasi hindi kikita. Pero I'm not arguing na naman again sa kung ano yung approved na medical approach ng medical community. Kung ito yung talagang gusto nila, itong chemotherapy at saka radiotherapy, yan lang approve nila. So, yun man lang talaga ang kanilang sa mga patients. Pero yun nga ang doon, guys, what if ko yung patient walang kaya? And then, later on, sasabihin ng doktor na tataningan ka na ng buhay na wala nang pag-asa. So, ilang buwan ka na lang mabubuhay. So, hanggang doon na lang ba, Dok? Hanggang doon na lang ba talaga? Wala na kaming gagawin? So, hintayin na lang talaga namin, ganyan. So, sa ating mga kung tayo kapamilya tayo ng patient, hindi tayo maka-accept ng ganyang bagay na hanggang dyan na lang ang ating pwedeng gawin, no? Na hayaan na lang natin dumating yung point na mawala sa atin yung mga mahal natin sa buhay. That is not talaga, no? So, hanap talaga tayo ng way. So, kaya, kung wala na talagang pag-asa yung kanilang approach, let's move on to this another approach. That is why binigay ko itong information na ito guys para tingnan natin paano natin i-apply itong another approach para meron tayong fallback, no? Yung kunyari plan A, this is plan A, plan B, meron kung palpak yung plan A, plan B na naman tayo. Parang ganun ba? May second option tayo na pwedeng magawa, no? So hindi tayo pwedeng mag-stop, no? Kung anong pwedeng magawa natin, gawin natin, no? Hindi tayo pwedeng mag-stop sa abot natin makakaya. So, yun yung ating reasons dito guys behind. First is merong mga medications na hindi ginaaprobahan kasi walang kikitain ang medical industry dito, no? And the second thing is pag dumating sa point na bibigyan ka na ng taning ng buhay mo, hanggang doon na lang ba? Hindi pwede, no? So, yun yung ating basic na reason bakit mag-move on tayo to plan B or another approach, no? So, i-attach ko ang clip na ito guys, ang video clip dito sa ating video na ito para mapanood nyo. And then, doon sa video, hindi kasi naka-indicate doon guys kung paano gagawin yung approach ng doktor na to. Basta pinakita lang niya na ganito, and then ganito ang ginawa ng mga patients, ang testimonies ng kayong patients at gumaling. So, meron tayong i-provide na link sa ating description dito sa ating YouTube video na to. Sa description makikita nyo ang link kung saan nyo pwedeng i-contact yung doktor na yun, no? Meron siyang email address. Kahit ako, ginakontak ko yung doktor na yun, no? Doon ako naghingi sa kanya ng advice kung paano ko gagawin yung medication na yun sa aking pasyente. So, may email doon, and then before kayo mag-email, meron din siyang website. Ibibigay ko yung website kung saan nakalagay yung kanyang protocol, no? Mga paano i-administer yung gamot sa this certain type of cancer. Kasi yung pasyente ko, meron siyang ibang klaseng cancer na hindi pa nakalagay doon sa kanyang sa kanyang website, kaya ginakontak ko siya. Pero kung doon sa website, makita nyo na kung nandoon yung inyong klaseng cancer, meron kasing nakasulat doon kung paano nyo gagawin. So, follow nyo lang yon, no? So, kung hindi pa kayo, nalilito pa kayo, so, pwede nyo i-contact siya sa email, okay? So, again guys, ulitin ko lang, na kapag nandyan na kayo sa inyong chemotherapy at saka radiotherapy, ipagpatuloy nyo na lang muna, no? Ipagpatuloy nyo muna. So, wag kayong aalis dyan kasi nasimulan nyo na, no? Patuloy nyo lang yan siya. Kung may kaya kayo, no? Pero kung wala kayong kaya talaga, ganyan-ganyan, tapos bumabayad kayo sa private na nasa inyong decision po yan guys. Hindi ako nagsasabi na i-stop nyo, nasa inyong decision yan. Kasi ang patient naman talaga ang merong right kung ano ang gagawin niya sa kanyang sarili, no? Anong decision nyo sa inyong pasyente. So, kapag mag-administer pala kayo nitong gamot na ito guys sa inyong patient, ito sa bagong approach, kailangan nyo din daw ng assistance ng doktor, no? So, more or less, siguro, merong doktor na papayag, may doktor na hindi. So, kayo na lang maghanap ng doktor na papayag sa inyong gusto, kasi I'm sure meron kayong papirmahan dyan na waiver na kayo ang may gusto nito, no? Na hindi ito approach ng medical community, hindi naman sabihin na sa inyo ng doktor. So, kayo na bahala ano niyan guys, kumausap sa doktor nyo or paano nyo gagawin yung administration ng yung gamutan na yan, no? So, again, this is another approach na ng isang doktor na nag-undergo ng study at merong mga testimonies ng kanyang mga patients, no? So, binibigay natin gina-clarify lang natin na binibigay natin itong information na to para meron kayong another approach. Hindi yung iiwan nyo yung chemotherapy nyo or yung radiotherapy nyo kaagad, no? Dahil meron kayong nalaman na bagong approach. No, guys. Another option ko lang ito sa inyo para kung sakasakali na sabihan kayo na may taning na ang buhay ng pasyente nyo or hindi nyo na kaya dahil mahal na masyado, wala kayong capacity na ng gamutan ng therapy na yan, this option is for you, no? Para mabigyan lang kayo ng option, yung hindi kayo na mawalaan kayo ng pag-asa na ay hindi ko matanggap yung gamutan na yan kasi mahirap lang kami, or hindi ko matanggap yung gamutan na yan kasi yun nga, may binigyan na ako ng taning, hanggang dito na lang, no? So, yun yung ating reasons behind bakit tayo may plan B. Meron tayong second option. So, okay guys, ibibigay ko na sa inyo yung video. Panoorin nyo na lang, hopefully na meron kayong matutunan and merong mabigyan kayo ng hope para sa ating mga pasyente. So, God bless sa ating lahat.
Cancer is still the leading cause of death for people under the age of 85. In the United States, 1 in every 4 people die from cancer.
As soon as he entered the medical profession, Dr. Simoncini realized that something was definitely wrong with the cancer medical system.
I prayed the Lord, please give me a light because I see terrible sufferings. I was in a pediatric oncologic ward and all the children died. I was suffering looking when I was looking the poor children dying with chemo, with radiation.
Faced with this frustrating reality, Dr. Simoncini felt the need to reconsider the cancer paradigm from scratch and began looking for a different origin of the disease. What puzzled him the most was the fact that all cancers behave in the same way, even though they occur in the widest variety of organs, appearing totally different from one another. He then started looking for a common denominator, and eventually found one. Most cancers appear white.
If you enter in the body and you reach an organ affected by the cancer, you can see that the lumps are always white.
The lumps are white?
Lumps are always white. Sometimes it is covered with blood or with the defense reaction. But in every post-mortem examination, scientists find the white lumps, the white masses, that is fungi. This is the pleura. We entered with a camera and look. The pleura should be red, but you can see all the lumps, all the cancer that is white. Really white. This is a heartbeat. This is a bronchial cancer. Look, we went into the bronchia with the bronchoscope. Look, they are white. And then in the colon cancer, this is red because there is a little bit blood. I washed it up.
Okay, and now it's white.
Now, look. It is always white.
White,
like Candida. In Latin, Candida albicans means pure, glowing white.
Considering the fact that fungi are found in a vast majority of cancers, Dr. Simoncini tried reversing the relationship between the two, and posited that it was the fungus to cause cancer, not vice versa. This is his reasoning, which began forming more than 20 years ago. Candida is a very familiar fungus, known especially to women, who sometimes experience an infection in their sexual organs.
The vagina is a muscular canal that leads from the outside of the body to the uterus. The warmth and moisture of this canal create a perfect environment for microorganisms to breed. For example, bacteria called lactobacilli, which are naturally present in the vagina, coexist with a yeast fungus called Candida albicans. Normally, the lactobacilli create an acidic environment that keeps the natural yeast population in balance. However, when conditions within the vagina change that either decrease the numbers of lactobacilli or decrease the acidity, these yeast fungi begin to multiply.
Candida is present also in other parts of the human body, like the mouth or the intestine, but its growth is kept under constant control by the immune system, as part of its regular duty. Whenever the system's defenses become weaker, however, the fungi increase their chances of expanding their numbers, and eventually they manage to form a colony, which becomes more and more resilient as it increases in size. Once the colony manages to penetrate an organ, the immune system becomes incapable of fighting it properly. It is then the very organ that reacts by building a barrier against the intruder, made with his own cells.
It is that barrier, which we perceive as an abnormal growth, that we call tumor. Far from being a wild, uncontrolled cellular replication, such growth is rather a lucid and desperate attempt from our body to reject the intruder, which is now totally out of reach from the immune system. At some point, and quite possibly during the first biopsy, or during surgery, a small group of fungi escapes into the bloodstream and ends up nesting somewhere else in the body. It is therefore this runaway group of fungi, and not a malignant cell, to cause the new metastasis in the body. Once the primary cancer sets in, the system's defenses wear out much faster, and chemotherapy only accelerates the process, making it even easier for this group of fungi to start a colony in the new location.
Unfortunately, chemotherapy also harms healthy cells, especially cells that divide quickly. Harm to healthy cells is what causes side effects. Some side effects may include hair loss, nausea and vomiting, fatigue, suppression of the immune system, and anemia.
Unless the immune system is quickly restored to its full potency, the entire organism will eventually succumb to the metastasis now spreading all over the body. To test this hypothesis, Dr. Simoncini considered treating cancer patients with sodium bicarbonate, which is known as one of the most powerful enemies of fungi.
Sodium bicarbonate is the strongest substance against fungi. They cannot adapt to a salt because it is not a complex substance. That's why the antifungal today's antifungal drugs are ineffective, because the fungi can adapt themselves in 3-4 days. For a fungus, you give an antifungal drug, you can kill the first layer, but the second layer they get used and they eat drugs, chemotherapy, everything.
One of the first persons to try Simoncini's treatment was Gennaro Sangermano, an Italian patient who had been diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, back in 1983. With a life expectancy of only a few months left, Mr. Sangermano met Tullio Simoncini and chose to try the sodium bicarbonate therapy. 23 years later, in 2006, he gave this interview.
Buonasera. Buonasera, io mi chiamo Massimo. Mi sembra di parlare con una persona molto fortunata, mi sembra di capire, giusto?
Sì, molto fortunato, veramente.
Perché i pesi...
Molto fortunato, ma grazie a Dio al dottore Simoncini. Ha detto vieni da me, sono andato con la cura che mi ha dato lui, con grazia di Dio.
E ci ha messo, mi diceva la moglie, ci ha messo 8-9 mesi a guarire?
Sì, 8-9 8 o 9 mesi.
Però se n'è andato via tutto il tumore.
Sì, per grazia di Dio, sì, che hanno ritrovato, che è andato via. Non credere, però a me è andato bene.
Lei è lì, infatti dice...
Ecco, perché mi hanno detto che c'aveva 6-7 mesi di vita addirittura.
Lei non ha fatto nessun'altra cura insieme a Simoncini, cioè lei è sicuro che l'ha guarita questa cosa qua?
Sì.
Non ha fatto nient'altro?
La cura di Simoncini, altri non sono andati. Adesso solo che più qualche raffreddore, la febbre, va da un altro medico.
Vabbè, chiaro, è normale.
Allora, comunque la cura là me l'ha fatta solo lui.
Non ha fatto nient'altro insieme?
No.
Ho capito.
After a few successful treatments, Dr. Simoncini presented his documentation to the Italian Department of Health, hoping that his theory was put to test under proper scientific protocols. Not only were his findings completely ignored instead, but Dr. Simoncini ended up being disbarred from the Italian medical order for having prescribed cures that had not been approved by the authorities.
This is rather unfortunate for the millions of people affected by cancer today, as even the ancient Hindu books of medicine prescribe sodium bicarbonate against cancer.
Alkali of strong potency should be used in diseases arising from anella, sclerosis, meta, cancerous growth and such others which are very difficult to cure. This book is over 1,000 years old.
Like many other doctors who had proposed a natural remedy against cancer before him, Tullio Simoncini had obviously found himself in a direct collision course with one of the most powerful interest groups in the world, the pharmaceutical industry.
Anything that comes from nature cannot be patented. They're not interested in that. But what they are interested in, finding something perhaps within something in nature, that they can find some subcomponent that they can extract and then make it a man-made chemical that works the same way, then they can patent that, then they're interested, but not if it comes from nature, and it doesn't make any difference whether it works. So, we translate that into the real world. Of FDA approval. Surely these drug companies aren't going to spend $20 million or more testing any substance from nature because it can't be patented. That, and of course the FDA says it's illegal to use unless it's been tested for efficacy and safety. Now you see the catch-22 you're in there. Nothing from nature, regardless of how effective it might be, will ever be proven safe or effective according to the FDA. It'll never be. Because nobody's going to spend the money to go through the test. So therefore, everything from nature will always be condemned by the FDA as unproven. An unproven cancer cure.
As soon as the news on his treatment started to circulate, Dr. Simoncini became the target of a major smear campaign orchestrated through the Italian media, in which he was treated as a charlatan and a swindler.
Amici di Striscia, oggi vi parleremo di un personaggio che dice di curare i tumori con il bicarbonato. Seguiteci. Buonasera, Jimmy Ghione, Striscia la notizia. Come va? Niente, senta, ma com'è questa storia del bicarbonato? Ci può raccontare com'è che si curano i tumori con il bicarbonato? E ci può raccontare un po' com'è questa storia? Se basta il bicarbonato per curare i tumori.
Aspetti che vedi scendo.
No, aspetti che riscendo. Ma perché fa così?
As if the ridicule wasn't enough, Dr. Simoncini was also repeatedly sued for wrongful death and in one case sentenced to 3 years in prison for having allegedly caused the death of patients that had undergone his treatment. Even before any appeal was filed, the media seized greedily on the trials, delivering the final blow to Dr. Simoncini's public credibility.
Di Roma, uno dei più importanti oncologi italiani. No, perché quando parliamo di medicina e anche di cure innovative bisogna stare attenti. Dice quest'uomo, sto Simoncini, è un fungo, il tumore è un fungo e si cura col bicarbonato di sodio. L'impressione immediata di un grande medico.
Beh, una tesi bizzarra, voler essere ottimisti, e direi che è pazzesco, non c'è nessuna dimostrazione che ci siano rapporti tra infezioni fungine e neoplasie, né tantomeno che i funghi siano l'unica causa di cancro come sostenuto dal dottor Simoncini.
Possiamo dire con assoluta certezza che il bicarbonato di sodio al tumore purtroppo non gli fa nulla, se no sarebbe stato molto semplice.
Assolutamente
affrontarlo.
nulla, ma può essere, devo dire, anche pericoloso, perché se somministrato a dosi importanti può determinare squilibri metabolici importantissimi che possono compromettere la funzione renale, la funzione respiratoria, la funzione cardiaca, cerebrale, e quindi è un farmaco che, se somministrato a dosi importanti, può determinare anche la morte.
In spite of all these difficulties, Tullio Simoncini has never given up his fight against cancer, trying to spread his beliefs through conferences and through the internet. In the meantime, Dr. Simoncini has been perfecting all sorts of techniques to get as close as possible to each different tumor in order to always deliver the sodium bicarbonate with maximum potency.
Breast and bladder cancer with the sodium bicarbonate can heal in 99% without surgery, without chemotherapy, without radiotherapy, and let the organs there. Softly, softly you can remove the cancer just with local infiltration or ureter catheterization.
This is amazing. You're saying a urethral catheter can deliver sodium bicarb to the bladder.
Yeah.
Lorna is an Australian patient who recounts to have defeated bladder cancer by herself with the simple use of a self-operated urethral catheter.
In February 2007, I was diagnosed with cancer in the bladder. They were transitional cell carcinoma cells, and I was at stage 3 aggressive form of cancer. Over the year, I went for 3 monthly cystoscopy checks to keep it under control, but in June 2008, I was diagnosed with carcinoma in situ, and the urologist told me I had to have immunotherapy. I decided against having conventional treatment, and I decided to try out Simoncini's sodium bicarbonate solution. I had found Simoncini on the internet, and I did 2 3-week treatments of sodium bicarbonate under the instructions of Simoncini, who emailed me and guided me through the whole treatment. On the 28th of November, I went back to the urologist to have a check cystoscopy, and my bladder was clear of any cancer.
So I've just realized have you ever met Simoncini in person?
No, I've never met him.
How did you do all this?
In person, I've never met him.
How did you do all this?
What?
I mean, how did
What
you
do you-
get
what do you
all the
mean? How did I do
instructions? How
what?
did you know how to do things?
I emailed him via his website, and he gave me the information over email.
So you never met him in person?
Never.
Did you ever pay him anything?
No, not 1 cent.
He hasn't asked you for money at all?
No, not at all.
Are you saying with breast cancer, a little incision, squirt?
6 days, everybody heals. 6 days, the breast is spared.
Diagnosed with breast cancer in summer 2001, Marion received immediate surgery, followed by regular radio and chemotherapy cycles. After a relapse in 2006, she chose not to operate again and tried Dr. Simoncini's therapy instead.
We could fly to Rome to Dr. Simoncini, and he treated me with injections directly in my breast. Yes, we went back to Holland, and we found a doctor there who was willing to make again a mammography and an echography. And at first, the radiologic, our doctor asked me, when she saw the mammography, well, she didn't say so quite clear, but more or less she asked me what I was doing there, because she couldn't see a thing.
Relatively simple is also the cure of uterus cancer, even in cases where the total removal of the organ is recommended. In October 2007, Sylvia was diagnosed with cervical dysplasia. After the conization revealed an invasive tumor, Sylvia was told the uterus needed to be removed promptly, before cancer cells could spread elsewhere in the body. After a stressful research and against everyone's advice, she chose not to operate and to try Dr. Simoncini's therapy instead.
Hai fatto tutto da sola, cioè?
Tutto da sola, infatti ho fatto tutto da sola. Ho acquistato immediatamente del bicarbonato e la sera stessa ho cominciato a fare questi lavaggi della durata di un'ora, un quarto d'ora per posizione, che erano il corpo sul fianco, poi il prona, poi il fianco, poi supino, in modo tale da prendere tutto il tessuto, visto che non avevamo una campo localizzato, ma una cosa molto invasiva. E dopo neanche 2 mesi, diciamo 7 settimane, ho fatto un controllo il quale si è avverato completamente negativo, privo, un controllo con una microcolposcopia che non ha rilevato nessuna anomalia cellulare.
Allora, io mi chiamo Carmelo Lombardo.
Di mestiere?
Sono nato, mestiere faccio il medico.
A few months after a colonectomy due to a malignant tumor, Dr. Carmelo Lombardo found out he had developed some liver metastasis. Just before the liver operation, he found out the tumor had already spread to each of his lungs. After the liver surgery, he found out about Dr. Simoncini's therapy, and chose to use the portacat that had been prepared for the chemotherapy, to introduce the sodium bicarbonate solution instead.
Ah, quindi lei aveva il port per la chemio e invece l'ha usato per infilare il bicarbonato?
Sì, il bicarbonato, sì.
E il port dove ce l'aveva esattamente? Il port dove ce l'aveva?
Il port ce l'ho all'altezza della seconda costola. Nella seconda costola precisamente hanno incannulato la carotide interna e raggiunge la cava superiore.
After 3 cycles with sodium bicarbonate, a TAC test revealed no trace of the tumors in either one of the lungs.
Un esame fatto con mezzo di contrasto e senza contrasto non si apprezzano lesioni né di tipo primitivo né di tipo secondario.
Mi chiamo Annalisa e nel 2002 ho avuto un tumore al cervello.
In 2002, Annalisa Grillo was diagnosed with a brain tumor called astrocytoma. She underwent surgery, followed by chemo and radio cycles, only to see a relapse in 2006. The consequences of the second surgery were even worse.
La seconda operazione che mi ha lasciato paralizzata per metà corpo mi hanno portato a questo, quindi mio marito Massimo si è dedicato ad altri tipi di medicina.
E tra le varie possibili ho creduto di iniziare quella del dottor Simoncini, di una cura a base di sodio bicarbonato in endovena.
After 4 cycles of sodium bicarbonate, the RMI test showed a small reduction in the tumoral mass.
Dopo un po' di tempo, qualche mese più o meno, si sono verificati i primi risultati positivi.
A second set of 4 cycles reduced the mass of the tumor even further. The last 14 cycles, between March and August 2007, managed to clear the tumor completely.
La quale cura ha portato alla totale regressione della lesione, permanendo ad oggi soltanto un piccolo esito di tipo cicatriziale postumo dell'intervento.
Dr. Simoncini believes that also skin cancers are caused by the same fungus and treats them with iodine titer at a 7% solution.
My name is Dragan Misic and I come from Perth, Western Australia.
So what brought you all the way from Australia to here?
Because in Australia, especially in Perth, they couldn't cure my basal cell carcinoma and melanoma. I had 2 operations and many treatments with liquid nitrogen. But they completely damaged my skin.
And what did you do after that?
I applied the same therapy that Dr. Simoncini described in his book, Cancer is Fungus. I applied that for about, a few weeks, and
the cancer is gone?
Totally gone. For the first time, I feel, cured and free, and I feel like I got my life back again.
In 2002, Alessandro found he had a melanoma on his neck. Instead of undergoing surgery, he tried the iodine titer applications under the direction of Dr. Simoncini.
Però so che un giorno tac, è saltato via, è rimasta la pelle bella nuova sotto, niente, è saltato via tutto, non c'è più niente. Il melanoma era saltato via, basta. Sì.
Same story for Gemma, who had a basilioma on her chest and cured it with the same procedure.
Una dimostrazione come dovevo spennellare con la tintura di iodio, io ho capito perfettamente, ho continuato e tempo 2 mesi, come c'era scritto nel libro, è andata via.
Not every cancer, however, can be cured with the same effectiveness. Bones, for example, receive hardly any blood at all, and are very difficult to reach with the proper amounts of sodium bicarbonate. Different techniques, in some cases, can be applied. We conclude now with one interview that seems to best summarize everything that has been said in this presentation.
This is John Blankenship in Houston, Texas. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in about August of 2007, and I proceeded to do all the classic evaluations that the medical industry puts you through. They did a biopsy and later on scheduled me for radical prostatectomy. And I looked on the internet and saw what they were going to do and the fact that I was going to be incontinent, and I rejected it out of hand. The whole time they were trying to sell this operation to me, and it just didn't feel right. They ran me through the mill, and I had to sign a paper that I would accept chemotherapy and also radiation treatment in the event that the radical prostatectomy did not cure my cancer problem. Sometime in early January, I was on the internet and I came across Dr. Tullio Simoncini's website, and I was amazed at the protocol that he suggested, and also I was amazed by his belief that cancer was a fungus. I read over and over and over, and it just made sense to me. And toward the end of January, I called him and made arrangements to go to Rome for treatment. And I arrived in Rome on the 1st of February, and on Monday, on the 4th of February, we put a catheter in. I did 8 bicarbonate of soda treatments over there. Took about an hour for treatment. And the only effects that I had the last 2 days of the treatment, I got a little bit weak, but he gave me 8 treatments. So I flew back to the United States with the catheter in place, and 10 days later, my wife had been taught how to do the infusion and started on a treatment schedule of 6 days of infusions and then 6 days off for rest. And we did 4 or 5 of these cycles. I just took on Tuesday, the 26th of August 2008, a ultrasound examination of my prostate, and apparently the doctor, I consulted with him and he said he couldn't find anything. He wrote a report to that effect, and I faxed the report to Dr. Simoncini today, and he was delighted with the results. He said it's all gone.
So, according to the ultrasound scan, your cancer is gone.
Yes, sir.
Can you believe that?
I absolutely believe it. I believe everything that Dr. Simoncini says. He's a genius. He's a Renaissance man.
So, even before you found out about Simoncini, it seems to me like the real turning point was when you rejected the Orthodox process. Is that correct?
I rejected it out of hand because I knew that as soon as they started cutting on it, those little cells were going to run all over my body, and 6 months later they were going to be popping up and growths all over my body, and I knew fungus starts to run and hide, and it finds the best place to hide and receive nutrition. And his treatment sort of kills all of that because there's an overabundance of sodium bicarbonate in the treatment totally. While you're being treated, your blood is becoming saturated with it. So it kills the fungus en route to wherever it's going. So it not only kills the fungus at the tumor, all the fungus that gets away is killed in the out of the...
Are you a doctor, John?
No.
No.
I can read and I can understand, and no one else has made sense to me except Dr. C.
Thank you. John. Thank you.
Dave.